Hello everyone and welcome to another Pokemon Pocket video. Today we're going to talk about the ranked mode that we've had for a little bit now. We were sort of moving through our first season as you can see, I've hit Master Ball. I've been there for a few days now, dipping around 3,000 to 1,000 in terms of actual ranked number that you can see here. And I just wanted to talk about some of the pros and cons, or the upsides and downsides of the current system and how I think it can be improved. First off, I think overall the rank system was implemented pretty well. There's a lot of rankings to climb through, as we can see here, starting at beginner and then going all the way up to Master Ball. I think even though people have talked about with how long it can take, it's a bit of a grind. That is true, but we're just over a week through the season and there's roughly 4 weeks to the season. There's plenty of time to get there, so I do think the win streaks help, obviously up until a point, because in Ultra Ball you don't have any. But overall, I think the system is quite good. I do really like, and I'm so glad I've talked about this before, but I really like that you get numbered ranking if you're in the top 10,000 players in the world, because it's a world server. So I think that's really good. I think the system's very clear. You know how many points, you need 1450 to hit Master Ball, and then you need to keep gaining points and move up those ranks. So I think that's pretty nice. The rewards are pretty decent as well. If we look at this, of course, if you go all the way to the bottom, even if you just play a few games, you're going to get some hourglasses, but beginner ranks, a lot of bots, so it's easy to get through. But as you start to move up, you get all these emblems for how well you do, but also these hourglasses stack really quickly. Even if you just get 2 Ultra Ball, that's not really that much of a grind, and you just get 75 hourglasses at the end of the season, which isn't bad at all. And then obviously as you move up, there's 100 for hitting Master Ball. And obviously Master Ball split into top 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, and then just, if you're not in the top 10,000, you just Master Ball. So I think rewards are fine. I don't think they needed to overdo it on rewards, because it would have created some maybe some frustrations from players that don't have the time or ability to maybe get to the higher ranks to unlock those great rewards. But overall, I think the way the system works, the rewards, all pretty impressive, honestly. I wasn't expecting this much from the system when they did announce ranked. I thought it was going to be pretty bare bones. Of course, we also have this sort of season screen where you can track your win rate, what rank you are, again, if you're top 10k, how many points you've got, wins and losses, and then if you just refresh here, this shows basically, I'm pretty sure the top 100 players, obviously the numbers might not be perfect because it depends on how many people are in there, but yeah, it shows the top, X amount of players at any given moment, so you can see you sort of battling at the top of the leaderboard. So overall, I think the rank system is good, but there is room for improvement, in my opinion at least. The first thing, and I think probably the easiest impact thing they could do, is make it so that once you hit Master Ball, you can't drop out of it. Because right now, if we look at this, you can't drop out of Great Ball going downwards, but you can drop out of Ultra Ball. So if you're Ultra Ball 1 at the lowest points possible and you lose, you'll go down to Great Ball. If you're in Master Ball at 1450 points and then you lose a game, you will be Ultra Ball 4 and so on. So it's just there's not, the flaws are like here, which doesn't really do much because these are pretty easy to get out of. So I think once you hit Master Ball, at least for me, it shouldn't drop you out, because it creates this weird scenario where, because you can fall out of it, and I believe the rewards are based on what they say here, are based on where you finish and not where you hit. If you hit Master Ball, then end the season in Ultra Ball, you will get the Ultra Ball reward and not the Master Ball. And I think that's a bit rough, because it incentivizes players to hit Master Ball and then just not Q ranked for the rest of the season, because they might want the emblem, they might want the, it's not a lot of extra hourglasses, but you know what I mean. They might want mainly, I would say, that Master Ball emblem to show off that they got it. And I think incentivizing players to not play the rank system to its full amount maybe isn't the best thing in the world, and it just creates a weird scenario. And then on the other hand, something that at least affects me, and I'm sure affects many players, similarly linked to the ability to drop out, is if you can D-rank from Master Ball after putting all that work in to get there, it means that in Master Ball you feel a little bit more constricted into what you can try and play. If you want to experiment with something or try out something a bit crazy, I'm not necessarily saying a bad deck, but just something a bit different that maybe isn't like top meta right now. In a weird way, you can get punished really hard, because if you D-rank, you've then got to try and climb back up again and do it again. So I think that letting people not D-rank from Master Ball, once they hit, would be really, really good and make people even more excited about hitting Master Ball. And then even if they're never going to hit top 1,000, top 5,000, whatever, they can at least try to play in Master Ball, test out their decks versus some really good players, and so on, and try and climb playing what they want to play, without the punishment lingering over them of them missing a potential reward at the end of the season. So I think that's a good thing. A lot of people have raised the point as the counterpoint of, well, if you can never drop out on Master Ball, could you be like a 10-point Master Ball player? And I guess you can just make the base barrier 1450, so you can't go below 1450 once you hit. However, I think there's another way they could do this, which we'll talk about next. So that's that issue, and I think it's one that's fairly straightforward to solve. Just don't let people derank. Or just as a last one on this, you could just say that your rewards, apart. Oh, I've clicked the wrong thing. Sorry. Another way they could do it, apart from the actual like top, 1,000, 5,000, the numbered rewards for these three, they could just say, whatever you hit, you get. So if you hit Ultra Ball 4, you get this one and these, even if you don't finish at Ultra Ball 4. And if you hit Master Ball, even if you don't get in top 10k or you don't finish in top 10k, you at least get the Master Ball emblem and the reward. I think that's another way they could solve that problem. Next up is it's a weird problem, but it exists. Because this system isn't using an ELO system, and I'll just give a brief explanation. In Master Ball, if you win, you gain 10 points. If you lose 10 points. So to climb, you have to win more than you lose. Completely reasonable expectation, right? The only problem is, when there's just a flat number, you win or lose, that creates a weird problem that players who play, it's gonna sound stupid, but bear with me, players who play significantly more than other players will, as long as their win rate's just, let's say we're on the same win rate, will just outpace everyone. Like, I stream full time. I don't really play ranked off stream, to be fair, but I've played a good amount of games. What's that, like 2, 4, like 500 games roughly so far? And I will never catch these players unless I play way more hours in the day, every single day, because we're only on like the 7th so far. So there's like, what, 20 days left. If I take days off, let's say, which is crazy to sound, oh, I take day off playing this game. But if I do that, then I'm just going to fall further behind and further behind, because this number, in a weird way, infinitely goes up, right? And the way that a lot of other games, at least other card games and plenty of other games I've played, deals with this is they use some form of like an ELO system where, let's say this isn't points, it's just a number. I would be queued against someone that's around 1,500, and if I win, I could gain 15 points, and if I lose, I would lose 15 points. But if I queue against someone who's 1,600, I might win 17 or 18 points, but I would only lose, say, 12 points because I've, on paper, won against a harder opponent, right? Because they're higher ranked than me. Similarly, the other way, if you're high rank and you play someone lower than you, you won't win as many points, and you could potentially lose some more points because the MMR difference or number difference would be a bit bigger, and you're like the better player on paper. Now, what this does is it creates a sort of plateau effect where, let's say this is a really high, well, it is a high number of points, but say this is their score. Realistically, this wouldn't go probably much higher that fast, right? It wouldn't be like a straight line going up. It would be more like, it would sort of go up a lot and then sort of start to just do this. So you can still climb. It's just the higher you are at the top, the harder it is to climb. Now, the reason for this is it means that if they're gaining less points on average for a win, like other players have the ability to actually catch up by just playing well and winning games without saying, oh, you've actually got to play like 1.5 times more than the player currently in first. Because that is a ton more points that they're, for example, ahead of me. I would have to play not only as many games as this player, but more to be able to even try and catch up. And that's assuming we have equal win rate, which is fine. So that is a concern that, again, it's another factor that might make people not really want to try and really compete, because you can know straight away if you don't have the time to jam at least a couple of hours every single day, you're probably not even going to make top 5,000 at the end of the season if you are a slightly more casual player. I'm not saying a full casual, but you just don't play 3 hours every single day at least, right? Because that is a big ask for a month, especially when the new season is probably going to start straight after and you do it all over again. So that is a slight concern that at the moment, now don't get me wrong, these players are very good, obviously, but a huge chunk of the position at the top is just who plays more than the others, right? And then there's win rate. Whereas normally, of course, you have to play a certain amount of games and you have to keep up, but win rate and like performance can actually propel you up ranks. Whereas you would have to do something nuts to even think about being able to climb up here. And bear in mind, we are only about, what, 8-9 days into a season? There's still another like 2.5-ish weeks. So it's like, there's still a lot of time. It's not like this is the end of the season and you don't have time to catch up because it's like the last couple of days. We're only like a week or so in. So you almost have to treat this as a full-time job, playing many hours a day, if you want to like really keep up there. And you've had to have done this from like day one and just keep going, so you've got the maximum amount of time. And it just is a bit of a concern because it makes the top, it makes the very, 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 very top, like, I guess, competitive, but it's competitive in the sense of who can get more games under the belt. Because if one of these players takes like a day off or a couple of days off, or just plays a bit less for a few days, they will just fall behind. Whereas, although that would happen to an extent, I'm not saying, oh, take a couple of weeks off and you can keep up, but it wouldn't happen as much with the system that would sort of curb the volume of points, and people that were lower down can actually, if they play well, can actually get there. So it's a little bit of a worry. It just means like the infinite scaling, that the time requirement to even think about going for a, even like I said, a top 5,000 might be really difficult, but difficult in the sense of time and not like, oh, my win rate's not good enough, or I'm bringing the wrong decks, or I need to counter the meta better. Like, those things are more interesting than how many hours in a day can you play the game, to me at least. So it's a little bit of a concern that I do have. Hopefully, this being the first season, the devs seem open to feedback and changing things. This is definitely like a first go at it. Maybe they're going to be rigid and just say, no, this is what the system is, get used to it. But I have hopes that they will see this and see some of the downsides, because the other systems that I've suggested, I feel almost purely have upside. The slight downside is, if you are one of these players who wants to play 12-15 hours a day or whatever, then you arguably get a bit punished. But if you're winning loads of games anyway, you'd still be at the top, right? That's the difference, is these players who are doing really well would still be here, but the players below them have more of a chance that if they also play well and put in the effort, they can actually catch up at some point. And it's not just, oh, well, you didn't grind from day one in a season, you're never going to make the top ranks at all. It's just never going to happen. So it's a rough one. I do think, again, it's a really good system overall. I think ranked has been implemented better than I thought it would be. However, I'm just a little bit concerned that people feel like getting to Master Ball is a grind, and I think that's a slight exaggeration. It's not super easy, but again, we're only a week or so into a season. We've got another like 2.5 weeks or something yet. But if that feels like a grind, then you slap on the Master Ball of literally having to put in hours and hours and hours a day. And that's if you win as well. You've still got to win the games and things have to go well. That is a little bit concerning, that this system specifically might switch off a lot of players who considered doing well or trying to do well, because they just do not have 4, 5, 6 hours a day to play the game, maybe. Again, these are just my estimations, but put it this way. I play the game every day for approximately 5 to 6 hours, at least when I'm streaming, and I'm not saying I'm the best player in the world or anything, but I have a positive win rate, and I will never catch these players. Not unless, like I said, I doubled, maybe even tripled the amount of time played and hold the win rate at the same time. So it's a little bit maybe disheartening for a group of players that maybe want to try and get there, but maybe missed the first couple of days of the season, or just don't have the time. Whereas other systems, like I come from Hearthstone, you can catch up, right? If you play well, win games, because of the way the ELO system works, you can catch up and actually be competitive without having to dump like hundreds and hundreds of hours in, just like a month or something. So yeah, we'll have to see how it goes anyway. I just thought I'd make a video because I do get asked about my thoughts on ranked overall. I think it's a great starting point. The fact we get a leaderboard, the fact we have all this information and so on, I think is fantastic. But I do think there's improvements to be made, and I really, really hope they at least look at the dropping out of Master Ball, or just give the players the rewards if they hit Master Ball. Just let them have them. It's not the end of the world. They hit it. They earned it. You know, holding Master Ball's not difficult. If to hold it, you just don't play for the rest of the season. Like that, it's not like, oh, well, they've got a battle to hold on to that rank. You can literally just stop playing and you will hold Master Ball. You will not automatically D-rank. So, yeah, bit of a strange one. We'll have to see what they do, but I just thought I'd put my thoughts out there because, like I said, a lot of people ask me, so now I can just direct them to this video. But let me know, what do you think? What do you think about the system? Does it take too long? Is it fine? Do you like that the more hours you put in are rewarded so heavily compared to everything else? Or it's like weighted towards hours? Are you super happy with it? Are you one of these top ranked players? Maybe if you are, let me know your opinion and how you feel about it. But overall, super happy ranked Sin. I'm glad to see everyone seems to be enjoying it, at least in a broad sense. And yeah, just let me know in the comments what you think. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you next time.